If you're a man over 60 and you've been waking up without that familiar firmness, if things feel quieter, weaker, and less alive down there, I want you to hear me clearly. This isn't just a part of aging. This is your body waving a red flag. Because long before you have a heart attack or major circulation problem, your manhood will tell you, quietly at first, that blood is no longer flowing like it used to. And that's where I come in. I'm Dr. Mohit Khera. For over 30 years, I've helped men just like you reclaim their energy, their intimacy, and their confidence, not through gimmicks, not through pills, but by fixing the root cause. And what if I told you that one simple fruit, when eaten first thing in the morning, could help restore blood flow to your most important organ naturally, safely, and quickly? Most men don't know this. In fact, they've never heard that one humble morning fruit could wake up nitric oxide levels, expand blood vessels, and reactivate that deep sense of vitality most thought was gone for good. In today's video, I'll show you exactly what that fruit is, why it works, and how to use it for stronger, healthier, more confident mornings. And just wait until I tell you the one breakfast food that might be silently blocking your circulation every single day. You need to know this before it's too late. Before we begin, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss another video designed to help you feel stronger, more confident, and more alive as you age. And if this message speaks to you, just type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0, and tell me how I can improve this content for you. I'm here to serve you. Let's start by understanding what's really happening inside your body after 60. Because when your erections weaken or disappear, it's not just a surface issue, it's a warning sign. A sign that your blood flow is struggling, especially in the smallest, most vital vessels that supply your manhood. 1. The hidden problem that no one talks about. Let's start with a truth that almost no one dares to say out loud, because it's deeply personal, often embarrassing, and quietly painful for millions of men. When you're over 60 and things aren't working down there the way they used to, it's easy to blame yourself. You might think, maybe I'm just too old, or this is probably normal. And after a while, you stop bringing it up. You stop asking questions. You stop hoping. But I need you to hear this. It's not your fault, and it's not just your age. What you're experiencing is a hidden problem, one I've seen in patient after patient, men who still had the desire, the drive, the spark, but whose bodies simply weren't cooperating. I remember one man, 72 years old, sitting across from me in the exam room. He looked down and said, "Doc, I don't feel like myself anymore." Not because of pain or disease, but because his sense of masculinity, of power and pride was slipping away quietly with each failed attempt at intimacy. What most men, and many doctors don't realize, is that erectile issues in older men are almost always a symptom of something deeper. Poor circulation in the smallest blood vessels of the body. These capillaries, especially in the pelvic area, are the first to become stiff, narrow, and clogged, long before a heart attack, long before serious cardiovascular disease. The penis is often the first organ to speak up when blood flow begins to decline. And the danger here is silence. Because when men don't talk about it, they miss the early warning signs. They miss the chance to reverse it. They miss the chance to feel alive again. The good news, your body still remembers what to do. It just needs the right signal, the right support to bring it back. And believe it or not, that support might come from something as simple as a single fruit in the morning, one that's been shown to naturally open blood vessels and restore nitric oxide, the molecule your manhood depends on. So what is it, and why aren't more men using it daily? You're about to find out. 2. Why? Pomegranate is a morning powerhouse for men over 60. I'll never forget the first time I told a patient to try pomegranate instead of asking for another prescription. He looked at me like I was joking. "A fruit?" he said. "That's your big advice?" But I wasn't smiling, because what he, and so many men don't realize, is that pomegranate isn't just any fruit. It's one of nature's most powerful allies for circulation, especially for older men. Pomegranate is loaded with polyphenols, antioxidants, and natural nitrates. That might sound like nutritionist language, but here's what it really means. It helps your blood vessels open up. It helps your arteries relax. It gives your body the raw material it needs to produce nitric oxide, the gas that allows blood to flow freely, especially to the penis. And when blood flow improves there, something magical happens. You feel alive again. There was a double-blind study that showed daily pomegranate juice increased blood flow by nearly 30% in just 2 weeks. But I don't need a study to tell me it works. I've seen it with my own eyes, in men who thought their best days were behind them. Some started waking up with firmer erections within a week. Others told me their energy returned, their drive came back, even their mood improved. The truth is, your body wants to perform. It wants to be strong. But if the blood can't move, nothing else can happen. And pomegranate, when taken in the morning, gives your body a surge of natural circulation support at exactly the right time. It sets the tone for the entire day: oxygen, energy, even hormonal balance. And there's something beautiful about starting your day with something simple, something natural, something that doesn't come in a bottle with side effects and warnings. It's just a fruit, but it holds power most men overlook. I've watched men regain hope, strength, and even the spark in their relationships just from giving their bodies what it was starving for all along. But eating pomegranate is only half the story, because if you're not supporting nitric oxide production and protecting it from being destroyed, you'll never get the full benefit. So next, let me show you exactly how nitric oxide works inside your body and why it might be the missing link to everything you've been searching for. 3. How nitric oxide revives your erections. When I sit across from a patient who tells me, "Doc, I just don't feel like a man anymore," I know it's not just about sex. It's about something deeper, something that lives in your bones, your breath, and your sense of self. And time again, when we dig into the biology behind that loss of vitality, one thing shows up again and again: a dramatic drop in nitric oxide. Now, I know that sounds like a technical term, but stay with me. Nitric oxide isn't a pill, a hormone, or some pharmaceutical compound. It's something your body used to make effortlessly. In your younger years, your blood vessels naturally produced it to help them relax and open up, letting blood rush exactly where it was needed. That's what allowed your penis to respond, firmly, quickly, and fully. But after age 60, your nitric oxide production starts to plummet. In fact, studies show most men have 50% less nitric oxide in their 60s than they did in their 20s. And without enough of it, your blood vessels become tight, stiff, unresponsive. Your penis may want to rise to the occasion, but the highway of blood that gets it there? It's blocked with red lights. The good news is your body can still make nitric oxide. It just needs help. That's where foods like pomegranate come in. The natural nitrates and antioxidants in pomegranate give your cells the raw material they need to spark nitric oxide production again. It's like waking up an engine that's been sitting dormant too long. And it's not just about physical function. When nitric oxide rises, your blood pressure drops, your energy lifts, and your brain feels sharper. You walk differently. You breathe easier. You remember what it feels like to be a man in control of his body. I've had men come back after just 2 weeks on a nitric oxide boosting routine and say, "I feel like myself again." And I believe them, because I've seen the science and I've seen the smiles. But boosting nitric oxide is just one part of the puzzle, because even if your body starts producing more of it, there's a silent danger that could still destroy your progress before it even begins. In the next section, I'll show you the real story behind one man's journey, and the surprising reason why morning wood came back after just 10 days. You won't want to miss this. 4. Real story. Robert, 67, got his morning wood back in 10 days. I want to tell you about a man named Robert. 67 years old, silver hair, sharp mind, used to be full of energy. When he walked into my office, there was something different in his eyes. This quiet frustration he couldn't quite put into words. He wasn't in pain, he wasn't sick, but he was suffering. He leaned in close and said, "Doc, I just don't feel like a man anymore. It's been months since I've had a real erection. I don't even wake up hard. I feel hollow." I could tell this wasn't just about physical function. This was about identity. about the pride that slowly disappears when your body stops responding the way it used to. And yet, I saw in Robert what I see in many men. He hadn't given up. He was still looking for a way back. That tells me something. That tells me the fire's still there. I didn't hand him a prescription. I didn't start with medication. I handed him a plan. I said, every morning for the next 2 weeks, I want you to eat half a pomegranate on an empty stomach. Chew the seeds slowly. Follow it with a handful of raw walnuts and a glass of warm lemon water. Don't skip it, not even once. He raised an eyebrow, but nodded. 10 days later, I got an email. The subject line just said, "You were right." Inside, he wrote, "Doc, this morning I woke up and it was there, strong, natural, like I was 40 again. My wife noticed it too." He didn't need pills, he needed blood flow, and when he gave his body the right tools, the change was fast and real. What happened with Robert wasn't magic. It was circulation. It was nitric oxide. It was a man's biology finally working the way it's supposed to. But to get results like Robert, you have to do more than just try pomegranate. You have to use it the right way, at the right time, and with the right combinations. Coming up, I'll walk you through exactly how to use this fruit to unlock its full power, step by step, so your body can finally remember what it was born to do. Keep watching. 5. How to use pomegranate correctly for maximum results. Over the years, I've seen so many men try something natural, give it a few days, and then give up, saying, it didn't work. But often, it's not because the remedy failed, it's because no one showed them how to use it the right way. Pomegranate is powerful, yes, but only if you approach it like a daily ritual, not a quick fix. When I work with patients, I tell them, your body is a system. You can't expect results by throwing something at it once in a while. You have to create the conditions where healing can happen. That's especially true with pomegranate, because when used correctly, it doesn't just support blood flow, it can completely shift the way your body responds each morning. Start by eating it first thing on an empty stomach. That's when your nitric oxide receptors are most sensitive. Half to a full pomegranate is ideal. And don't just juice it and gulp it down. I want you to eat the seeds. Chew them slowly. There are nutrients in the pulp, in the skin around the seeds, even in the fiber. Compounds that support your blood vessels in ways you can't get from juice alone. Pair it with a small handful of raw walnuts or almonds. The healthy fats help deliver the antioxidants deeper into your cells. And if you want to boost the effect even further, add a glass of warm lemon water. The vitamin C in lemon helps preserve nitric oxide longer in your bloodstream, keeping those blood vessels open longer. This is a morning routine, not an evening one. Your circulatory system sets the tone for the day in the first hour after you wake up. What you give your body in that window can either inflame it or activate it. And most important of all, stay consistent. Give it at least 30 days. Because while some men feel a difference in 3 or 4 days, the real transformation builds over time. But even if you're doing everything right, there's still a trap. A hidden danger sitting quietly on your breakfast table that could be undoing all your efforts without you even realizing it. Next, I'm going to tell you exactly what that is, and why this one common breakfast food might be silently shutting down your circulation every single morning. 6. The breakfast food that blocks circulation. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Sometimes, it's not about what you're missing. It's about what's getting in the way. I've seen men who were doing everything right, eating the fruit, walking every morning, taking their vitamins, and yet, still no change, still no energy, still no firmness. Why? Because sitting quietly on their breakfast plate was the very thing sabotaging all their efforts. One patient, Harold, came back frustrated after 2 weeks of trying the pomegranate routine. He said, "Doc, I'm not feeling anything. I'm doing exactly what you told me." So I asked him to walk me through his morning. He said, "I eat half a pomegranate, then I sit down with my usual eggs, toast, and bacon. Oh, and coffee with sugar and creamer." And there it was. The problem wasn't the pomegranate, it was the bacon, it was the sugar, it was the cream. Each one a slow leak in his circulatory system. See, Bacon and processed meats are packed with saturated fats and nitrates, the kind that inflame your arteries and stiffen your blood vessels. Sugar spikes your insulin and floods your bloodstream with compounds that actually destroy nitric oxide. And that little splash of artificial creamer? It's often loaded with trans fats, hidden sugars, and chemicals that throw off your hormonal balance and block circulation right at the cellular level. Most men have no idea these everyday foods are canceling out the benefits of what they're doing right. That's the danger. They're so common, so normal, that they go unnoticed. I'm not saying you have to give up breakfast. Far from it. What I'm saying is, choose foods that work with your body, not against it. Because the truth is, your breakfast can either be your medicine or your slowest poison. Once Harold swapped out the bacon and sugar for walnuts, berries, and a bit of whole grain toast with olive oil, everything changed. Within a week, he started waking up more energized. His blood pressure dropped. And yes, he began feeling that familiar firmness again. But what if I told you there are simple habits you can pair with your morning routine to take all of this even further? Movements, breathing patterns, even small mindset shifts that send a surge of blood right where you need it most. In the next section, I'll show you how to turn your morning into a full-body circulation reset, and it only takes 10 minutes. 7. Other morning habits that supercharge circulation. Sometimes, it's not just what you eat, it's what you do that sets everything in motion. Over the years, I've seen the best results come from men who treat their mornings as a kind of ritual, a sacred window of time to wake up not just the mind, but the body, and especially their circulation. Because blood flow isn't just about chemistry, it's also about rhythm, pressure, oxygen, movement, and small, intentional actions, done right after you wake up, can change everything. One of my patients, Joe, 71, was diligent with his pomegranate and clean eating, but it wasn't until he added just 10 minutes of morning activity that things really took off. Nothing intense, just a light walk around his neighborhood, followed by a few deep belly breaths by the window. After a week, he told me, "Doc, I feel like something's flowing again, like something switched back on." And that's exactly what happens. A 10-minute walk, or even just a few minutes of light stretching, wakes up your arteries. It triggers a wave of nitric oxide production and delivers oxygen to tissues that have been stagnant all night. Add in hydration, something as simple as a glass of warm water with lemon and a pinch of natural salt, and now you're feeding your cells what they need to stay flexible, open, and responsive. But my favorite? Deep breathing. Not just a quick sigh, but real, slow, controlled breaths deep into the belly. Most men after 60 don't realize how shallow their breathing has become. When you breathe deeply, you stimulate the vagus nerve, slow your heart rate, and flood your body with oxygen. It calms inflammation and boosts blood vessel health, especially in the pelvic region. 5 deep breaths, right when you wake up, can have a bigger impact than any pill. And if you can, take a moment, before breakfast, before the phone rings, before the day rushes in, and just stand barefoot near sunlight. It signals your hormones to regulate. It grounds your nervous system. And it gives you a sense of control, of calm, of presence. Stack these habits, pomegranate, hydration, movement, breath, and what you're really doing is sending your body one clear message. I haven't given up. I'm still here. I'm still ready. And when you treat your mornings like that, your body listens. It responds, sometimes quicker than you'd expect. But this journey isn't just about physical response, it's about something deeper. Because for many men, what returns with circulation isn't just energy, it's confidence, pride, and the sense of being fully alive again. And in the next section, I want to talk about exactly that. 8. More than erections. This is about confidence. Every time I sit with a man who's lost his ability to perform, I can feel it in the way he talks, the hesitations, the lowered voice, the quiet frustration between his words. And often, it's not just about the physical loss. It's about what that loss represents. You see, for many men, especially after 60, it's not just that the erections are weaker. It's that they don't feel like themselves anymore. I've had patients whisper to me, "I feel invisible," or "it's like I've faded." These aren't just comments about intimacy, they're about identity. When you lose your vitality, you start losing your voice, your presence, your confidence, not just in the bedroom, but in the world. And that is something I take seriously. Because yes, the goal here is to improve blood flow. Yes, we're using pomegranate and morning rituals and breathwork to restore physical function, but what we're really doing is rebuilding a man's belief in himself. When you start waking up with energy again, when you look in the mirror and feel alive again, when your body begins to respond the way it was meant to, something shifts. Your posture changes. You speak more clearly. You walk with more intention. That little fire you thought had gone out, it begins to glow again. This isn't vanity, it's biology. When your circulation improves, your brain functions better. Your heart gets stronger, your hormones stabilize, but most importantly, your spirit lifts. And that shift in energy, your partner feels it, your family sees it, you show up differently. One man told me, "Doc, my wife started looking at me the way she used to. And I started looking at myself that way too." That's the power of healing from the inside out. It's not just about sex. It's about showing up in the world with strength, clarity, and pride. And all of it starts with blood flow. But here's the best part. If you stay consistent with this routine, if you really give your body what it's been missing, there are clear signs that tell you it's working. In the next section, I'll show you what changes to expect in 7 days, 14 days, and 30 days, so you can measure your progress and know when that shift is happening. You'll want to pay close attention to this. 9. What to expect. 7, 14, and 30 days. One of the most common questions I get is, "Doc, how long will this take?" And I get it. When you've been dealing with frustration for months or even years, hope can start to feel like a dangerous thing. But the truth is, your body is far more responsive than you've been led to believe, especially when you give it what it's been missing. In the first 7 days, what you'll likely notice isn't dramatic, but it's meaningful. You may start waking up feeling a little more rested. You might notice fewer trips to the bathroom at night. Your energy, while still subtle, begins to stretch a little longer into the afternoon. For some men, there's a flicker of that familiar firmness in the morning. It may not last long, but it's the body's quiet way of saying, "I'm still here." By day 14, things tend to shift a little more noticeably. Blood pressure often improves, sensitivity returns, your mind feels clearer, and your desire, something that may have gone quiet for years, starts to stir again. One patient told me, "I caught myself thinking about intimacy again, and I haven't in ages." That spark matters. By day 30, if you've stayed consistent with your morning fruit, your breathing, your walking, your hydration, you'll likely experience a real return of function. Erections that are firmer, more spontaneous, mood that's more stable, a sense of physical control that you haven't felt in a long time. These aren't guesses. They're patterns I've seen over and over in men who simply didn't give up. Now, I'm not promising a miracle. This isn't about overnight transformation. It's about listening to your body, supporting it, and giving it time to remember how to heal. The timeline might vary slightly, but the direction is the same. Forward, stronger, sharper, more alive. But as your body begins to change, there's one more piece we can't overlook. Because physical improvement is only part of the story. What really matters, what truly transforms a man, is the choice to believe in that process again. And in the final section, I want to speak directly to that part of you that may still be doubting, still hesitating, still unsure if this road is worth taking. You'll want to hear this. 10. Final words from Dr. Mohit Khera. If you've made it this far with me, I want to say something important, something I say often, but never lightly. Aging doesn't mean fading. It doesn't mean surrendering your body, your confidence, or your sense of worth. I've spent more than 30 years walking beside men who felt like they were losing the very parts of themselves that made them feel strong, wanted, and alive. And I've seen what happens when they start to believe, just a little, that healing is still possible. Because what we've talked about in this video isn't just about erections or morning routines or fruits. It's about reclaiming ownership of your body. It's about refusing to accept decline as your destiny. I've watched men in their late 60s, 70s, even 80s come back to life not through some magic cure, but through consistent, intentional care. Eating differently, moving differently, breathing differently, thinking differently. And somewhere along the way, their wives noticed. Their partners leaned in closer. Their children saw them more upright, more present. Their shoulders pulled back. Their voice carried a little more weight. That's what real health looks like, not just physical performance, but presence. And I believe with everything in me that every man watching this, yes, including you, deserves that. So whether you start tomorrow with a pomegranate or a glass of lemon water, just start. Choose one new habit and let it remind your body what it was made for. Let it send a message to your cells, to your heart, to your mind that you are not done yet, that there's more life in you, more power, more connection. And if there's even the smallest part of you that wants to feel that again, wants to stand in front of the mirror and recognize the man looking back, then keep going. Because in just a moment, I'm going to bring all of this together and share one final message. It's the part most men miss, and the reason why some heal fully and some don't. Don't miss this next part. It may just be the most important. Conclusion. Your second chapter starts now. If there's one thing I want you to take away from everything we've talked about, it's this. Your body hasn't given up on you. It's simply been waiting for the right signal, the right support, and the right belief. And maybe for the first time in a while, you're beginning to feel that again. That quiet hope, that subtle flicker of energy that says, maybe I'm not done. We've talked about more than just a fruit. Yes, pomegranate can open blood vessels and boost nitric oxide, but more importantly, it's a reminder that healing can start with something simple, natural, and within your reach. We've looked at how to use it correctly, what to avoid on your plate, the breathing, the walking, the small shifts that turn mornings into moments of power. You've seen the story of Robert, and maybe something in his experience mirrored your own. And we've talked about timelines, 7 days, 14, 30, and how real change doesn't come overnight, but it comes if you show up for it. But beyond all the science, all the steps, and all the advice, I hope you heard something more personal, that you still matter, that your strength, your confidence, and your ability to feel like yourself again are not behind you, they are still within you. And I say that not as a doctor on a screen, but as someone who's looked into the eyes of thousands of men and seen the same question, is it too late for me? My answer is always the same, no, it's not. It never is. Because the second chapter of your life isn't about slowing down. It's about choosing how you want to live. And maybe that starts with a piece of fruit. Maybe it starts with a breath. Or maybe it starts right now, with you deciding that you're worth the effort. So go back, replay the parts you need, write down a habit or two, and begin. I'll be right here, cheering you on. Because there is nothing more powerful than a man who decides to fight for himself again. This is your second chapter, and I promise, it can be stronger than your first. If this video spoke to you, if it gave you a new perspective, a sense of hope, or even just a small step forward, please take a moment to like this video. It helps more than you know. And if you know another man, your brother, your friend, your neighbor, who might need this message, share it with him. Sometimes one simple act of kindness can change someone's entire outlook. I also want to hear from you. Leave a comment below. Tell me where you are in your journey, what's working for you, or what you're still struggling with. I read every single message, and your voice matters here. And if you'd like to support this mission, to help me reach more men, produce more science-backed content, and keep this platform going strong, consider making a small donation through the link below. It's never expected, always appreciated, and it allows us to keep helping men just like you live with strength, dignity, and clarity. Remember, you are not alone, and your journey forward starts right here. Like, comment, share, and if you can, support. I'm here with you every step of the way.